This is Pet Life Radio, the possumest pet party place on the planet.
That's a lot of peas, baby, isn't it? Yeah.
Get ready for some tail wagging, fur flying, feather flapping fun.
Oh, yeah.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay. And good morning, good afternoon. You are here live with Dr. Jeff Werber, your host for the next 30 minutes here on Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. We're here for you. We're here for your pets, here to answer your questions, talk about anything you want to talk about. I have a lot of shy listeners out there. I know I do, because I don't hear as much as I'd like from you. So, as you know, I'm always prepared to talk about something. That's never been my weak point, is coming up with something. So, anyway, I just want to let you know how you can get a hold of me. Very easy. The easiest, well, it's not the easiest way. The most old-fashioned way is the telephone, 877-385-8882. Once again, 877-385-8882. A better way, you can always send me a quick text here at PetLifeRadio.com. Just to Dr. Jeff at PetLifeRadio.com. I will get the message sent to me. We can talk that way. But the best way to communicate, the way you should get used to it, because many of you are probably doing it already with your own doctors, and you can consider me your at least Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon doctor, and that is through a direct link. You can go onto Google Hangouts. If you click on PetLifeRadio.com, go under shows, scroll down to Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff, and our producer, Mark Winters, left you a very nice long Hangout link, and you can just click on it, or you can copy and paste and put it in your browser. And anyway, that'll bring you right here. We'll see you. We'll see your pet. We can answer any questions you may have. I like to go through the news. I cruise the news, as I say, usually the American Veterinary Medical Association, the American Animal Hospital Association. What's new? What can affect you? What can affect your pets? And something you need to know now. I will help you get there. And then, of course, we have some other topics that I'd like to discuss, but I'm open to discussing anything you want. And just me, from the questions I get from my clients, I know there are those of you out there that are dealing with a problem and you need some guidance. There is, as I always call it, there's the practical approach that comes from me, your general practitioner. There's the academic approach, which comes usually from the specialist. And guess what? They don't always mesh. So, we'll help you sort of sift through things, what's really important, what you can do without, what you absolutely need, et cetera, et cetera. So firstly, this thing, I've been seeing, I work with a lot of rescues, and I noticed that there are, we get, in fact, just the other day, we got 2 new pups, adorable, and both had parvovirus. Fortunately, they're both doing great. In fact, yesterday they got sent home. But there was a new virulent strain of parvo. It's circulating in Utah. It was discovered in some shelters in Moab, Utah. So just as an FYI, a warning, it's out there. And what happens is, as drugs and again, we can't really treat parvo per se, it's a virus, but as the bad strains are always new mutations, if you will, and some of these don't respond as well to the supportive care that we often try to give these pets. So don't slack on your vaccines or your titers. As you know, I'm a big fan of titers. I usually titer every other year. Some of the vaccines now are good for 3 years. What I do for my patients, because I really do prefer titers. You can take this to your veterinarian. If they don't titer, they should be titering. So I do like this, and this is sort of it's a practical way to handle it, because I want you pet owners to start thinking about titering for distemper and parvo, adenovirus. So what I do is I recommend the titer test. It is more expensive than the vaccine, granted. So what I do, and not that much more, it's like $20 more. So what I do is I will guarantee the titer, meaning that if that titer should be low, meaning it's time we really do need to vaccinate, that dog's immune system is declining to the point where it can't protect itself against parvo, what I do is, or distemper or parvo, what I do is I'll vaccinate for free. So that way you can't lose. It's better for the pet. It's better to not over-vaccinate. And that's been working very well for me. Clients usually, because of that, and they know that they're going to get the vaccine if they need it. After all, at no charge, they are more willing to to go ahead and spend the extra money now to get a titer because it's better for the pets, not to over-vaccinate. So anyway, but do talk to your veterinarian, and just think, if you are in Utah, for sure, check your vaccine status, your pet's vaccine status. Make sure they're up to date, because that's very, very important. Now, this is also new. And again, it actually struck me because I work with one of the big rescue groups that a couple of them actually are bringing dogs in from China. And on the surface, and I agree, it's a great thing, especially with what goes on in China with dogs, how they torture them and they eat them, they skin them alive. It is absolutely disgusting. Anyway, so a lot of these rescue groups are going to China and adopting dogs, which is great. However, this report came in, which is very interesting. When you think about it, you can see it makes some sense. And that is that when you adopt a pet from another country, you're inadvertently introducing certain bacteria or certain strains of bacteria that are not common to the United States. So therefore, our pets' own immune systems may not be ready to handle them. So what's happening is we are getting some undetected, unrecognized strains of diseases, and this could jeopardize the health of millions of our normal, healthy pets. So the bottom line is, make sure, if you're working with a rescue, and I know the rescue groups I work with, that these pets are screened carefully to make sure that they don't bring in a strain of bacteria or virus that our pets have never been exposed to. The way the immune system works, it needs exposure. And if it's a healthy immune system, it will make the necessary antibodies to beat that particular strain of bacteria or virus. Of course, certain antibiotics help. But when we end up with resistant strains of bacteria, it's either because of bacterial overuse or a mutation of the bacteria that is no longer working. So sometimes the body is creating, or the bacterium itself is creating a resistant strain. And sometimes we're inadvertently doing it by inappropriate use of antibiotics, by stopping and starting and stopping and starting, not doing cultures. I mean, there are many ways that some of these bacteria become resistant, sometimes just by stopping the course of antibiotics too soon. And here's the scenario there. So let's say you have 1 million bacteria, all right, all, of a particular type, and you start giving antibiotics, and you have a 10-day course of antibiotics. And after day 5, the dog is doing amazingly well. And you think, I don't like giving the antibiotics. He fights me. He's hard to pill. So I'm going to stop now. But guaranteed, after 5 days, 100% of those bacteria are not dead. In fact, which ones are still living? The ones that are living are the ones that were harder to kill, or else they would have died in the first 5 days. So who is now alive to breed more bacteria? The ones that were still survived. So now you have, again, a full population of bacteria that need more or a different antibiotic. So what's happening is sometimes we create. So when you get a course of antibiotics from your veterinarian, very, very important to see it all the way through. Don't stop just because your pet is doing better. We're glad they're doing better, but we still want to make sure that every last bacterium is killed. So anyway, keep that in mind. Here's a topic that I was going to just talk about it real quickly, but I think it might be a good one to discuss at the second part of the show. So we're going to hold this one and see what kind of interest we get. This is really cool. Surgeons at Colorado State University are doing open heart surgery. I did a story a couple of months ago about a veterinarian in Japan that was at the time seemingly the only veterinarian who was doing open heart surgery on dogs. And he was now coming to the States to teach the veterinary surgeons here the techniques of doing open heart surgery in a dog. Anyway, it turns out that since 1991, Colorado State has been performing open heart surgeries, but of late in the last 3 years, they've been doing a lot of valve repair instead of just valve replacement. And with extreme success, they've had 15 dogs in the last 3 years, and they've all gone on to do very well. In fact, they said most of the dogs are surviving the surgery. Sometimes the surgery itself is less successful as far as what it's intended to do. But that's great. So open heart surgery, the story I read was a Labrador retriever, young, 18 months old, had a congenital defect, a valve defect, and took it to Colorado State. And again, they performed the surgery. The dog is thriving. He's doing great. This was also a cool story. There's so many rescue dogs out there. And there are not enough avenues to deal and to help these rescue pets. So Richmond, Virginia the city of Richmond basically has a new program working with their emergency rescue teams for people and one of the local rescue agencies that the response crews get to have pets, rescue pets, in where in the fire stations, and they basically will help get these pets find homes. But when they get back and they're stressed, and there's been a lot of the potential sick people, maybe even people that have been deceased, it does help them relieve a lot of stress to interact with these rescue pets. So that is really, really cool. And it actually does help these pets find homes too. So that's a great program. I'd love, when you hear about these pilot programs in certain cities, you just hope that the rest of the country will kind of tag on and say, you know what, that's a great idea. Because I know our rescue crews, our rescue response teams get really stressed out. And I know for a fact someone, a friend of mine's brother ultimately actually committed suicide because of the severe stresses that he was enduring. And no, it's really, really a great program. Once again, we've talked about this with, countless times, especially around holidays. Keep your pets away from sago palm. Sago palm is extremely toxic. Even a small amount can kill your dog or cat. It's a subtropical plant. They use it in subtropical landscaping. We don't have any here. Look, when I hear about these certain plants and flowers that are really potentially toxic, whether it's going to be Dieffenbachia or oleander, chrysanthemum, I try to be very careful, not have any of those in my yard where my dogs have access to. So, but sago palm is very toxic. So if you have it, you want to remove it, fence it away, keep your pets away from it. If you are really into gardening and have a really lush, cool garden, very important to fence it and keep your pets away from it. And speaking of plant matter that could be toxic, and I've heard about it, but this is obviously when these news sources start reporting about it, it's becoming a problem. And that is blue-green algae. And blue-green algae, the early symptoms are vomiting and diarrhea, not as fatal, by the way, as sago palm, but something that if you have, or if you know your dogs have access to blue-green algae and they start vomiting and diarrhea, very important to get them to your veterinarian as soon as possible, because the key for that is early treatment. So these dogs can be saved, but be aware, stay away from blue-green algae. This was really cool. I do a fair amount of oncology, and there is again, we talked about vaccines earlier. And one of the things the reason why I'm very sensitive about vaccination, especially in cats, is because cats get something. It's a vaccine-induced sarcoma. So it's feline injection site sarcoma. They call FIS, F-I-S-S, and it ultimately is deadly. Now, I'm sure that you've probably seen the location site of vaccinations, or even injections in general. It doesn't even have to be a vaccine, that have been changed in cats. Why? Because if they get the sarcoma, it ultimately is going to take them. So when we used to vaccinate cats in the flank or in the shoulder blade area, along the back, and they should get this vaccine-induced sarcoma, then we have a big problem. So now what are we doing? We're vaccinating in the thighs. Why? Really, it sounds pretty gross to people, but you may as well know why. Why? Because if they should get a FIS, a feline injection site sarcoma, we can amputate the leg, because that is the treatment of choice. You can go after it and try to take it out. If you catch it really early, chances are it's going to come back. Which, again, now let's go back a step further. Why I don't like to vaccinate unnecessarily, meaning that if I can avoid a vaccine. So if you have an indoor cat, it's not going to be exposed to leukemia. Do not give a feline leukemia vaccine. If you live in a state that doesn't require rabies vaccines for cats and you have an indoor cat, do not vaccinate against rabies. Less is more. And when that vaccine is given, make sure it's given usually in the thigh, sometimes in the shoulder itself, but down below in the triceps area for the purpose of amputation if needed. I know it sounds, as I said, it sounds really gross that we have to even think about it, but this is what happens. So very, very important when you get a vaccine, make sure that you have it done in the right place, but only give injections if they are an absolute necessity because of this problem called FIS, feline injection site sarcoma. But the good news is that there is a chemotherapeutic agent, all right? It's called carboplatin. And the researchers have now seen that if carboplatin is injected sub-Q into the area, it will kill off the sarcoma. So that is really, really cool. So again, way early in the game, they're starting to test it on dogs now with the sarcoma. And of course, I will keep you posted. But that sounds really, really great. I mean, excuse me, with cats with sarcoma, because that sounds really great that if they should get this feline injection site sarcoma and they find that it does sort of remedy to kill off this sarcoma, where they don't know whether it's part of a virus or what, but it's there. So anyway, it kills the cancerous cells, and that's what's important. I will keep you posted. And this is another one that they found. It doesn't surprise me. You realize the fastest growing segment of pet owning population, millennials, and they say 73% of millennials own a pet, and it is affecting their decisions of where to live and how to live, whether it's going to be buying or renting a condo, an apartment, a home. They want to make sure there is an area within the complex that, like a dog run, like a rooftop dog run, or a yard outside the apartment building, or a house that has a yard, or a house in an area where there's a dog park really close by, a couple blocks away. So interesting, if you are in real estate and you know of such places, you might want to make sure that you let the millennials out there know that you have a very pet-friendly apartment, home, condo, whatever. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk about two things. What I wanted to know is I want to hear from you about your pets adjusting to back to school. And of course, I don't mean your pet's going back to school, but I mean now that the house is a little bit emptier during the day, are your pets getting stressed? What to do about it? So anyway, when we come back, 877-385-8882, send me an email to Dr. Jeff, drjeff at PetLifeRadio.com, or better yet, click on our link, PetLifeRadio.com, Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff, Google Hangouts, and you can join me here live on Google Hangouts. Don't go away. We'll be back after these short messages.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
What if you could protect the life of your cat with something so simple and affordable that you already use every day? Get ready for the evolution of kitty litter. It's Pretty Litter. Along with all the features you've come to expect from your kitty litter, Pretty Litter's patented and scientific formula will also monitor your cat's health and detect illnesses early while providing industry-leading odor control. 2 kitty litters, same cat, same price. But there's one important difference. Pretty Litter reacts to your cat's waste by detecting health issues simply by changing color. And the key is that Pretty Litter detects these issues before your cat shows symptoms of physical illness or pain, likely saving you major dollars in vet bills while protecting the health of your cat. What do you think, little guy? Ready to switch litter? Pretty Litter. Colorful insight into your cat's health.
Go to prettylittercats.com/cat101 or use coupon code CAT101 to get 20% off your first subscription order.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dinovite.
Dinovite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggo Suds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Sud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe, great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dinovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
It's the Cats of Laughing Thunder in the New Businesses Adventure. Follow the hilarious adventures of the cartoon cats of Laughing Thunder as they each launch a business to earn money. Sven starts a cooking show with dishes that are a bit bizarre. Yolanda builds a robot. with serious issues. Fritz buys a blimp to film weather videos. Pumpkin publishes a how-to-be unmannerly website, but they face many troubles along the way. From silly adults to stupid teens, from unruly robots to wild weather. Will they succeed? Find out in this awesome illustrated children's fiction book featuring the Cats of Laughing Thunder in the New Businesses Adventure. You can purchase their latest adventure book at shop.laughingthunder.com. That's shop.laughingthunder.com.
Let's connect socially. Join the Pet Life Radio community to get the latest pet news, updates, and reviews. Connect with our show hosts and pet lovers socially on our Facebook and Twitter pages. You're just one click away. Find us at PetLifeRadio.com.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand, only from Pet Life Radio.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay. And welcome back. You're here live with Dr. Jeff Werber here at Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. And, one of the things, it was one of the segments that I saw, the news blurt that I thought was very interesting because I'd say in the last couple of weeks, I have gotten more behavior-related calls. Now this time of year, it's going to be the injury because the dogs are at the park running around. It's nice weather and longer days, etc. Or it's allergies. I mean, here in LA, oh my God, the fleas are horrendous. Fortunately, we don't have a huge heartworm problem, but a terrible flea problem. And a lot of dogs have pollen allergies. Occasionally we'll see obviously the food allergy. But these calls were all about behavior. Cats suddenly missing a litter box. Dogs acting out, barking, soiling in the house. I mean, all these things. And I'm thinking, what could be the possible common denominator? It's not the full moon. So what is it that's making these animals act up? And then, my hunch is, I always ask, especially with the cats. Cats are it's like, when a cat starts to act strange, I always say, okay, what changed? You either change the food, you change the schedule, you change the litter, the brand or the type, you change the litter box location, you change your hours. You got home a half hour later in the last 3 days. I mean, cats are so sensitive to just, their scheduling, their normalcy. And as soon as something changes, trust me, they will let you know. So, again, when it comes to your cats, the first thing you want to think of when there's any, sort of a behavior issue is, okay, and it could be the most minute thing. Trust me, the most minute thing. Anyway, but also dogs acting up, starting to become more destructive, urinating in the house, defecating in the house, not eating, and you haven't changed a thing. And they were totally healthy a week before. And so one of the things that we do talk about because of change, and animals are very sensitive to change. When for example, when dogs present with, fairly suddenly mucousy, bloody stool, they're still acting fine. They're still eating, but their stool is kind of has a mucus layer on it, sometimes even with blood. And I rattled down the following list: nerves, stress, anxiety, diet change, eating something you shouldn't have, parasites, of course, but an adult dog, it's not as common, but certainly young dogs, very high on my list. And any kind of time a dog is stressed, this is kind of what happens. And so we get these calls all the time. And one of the common denominators this time of year are your schedules are changed. Kids are back at school. Then once again, the house is very quiet. The scheduling is different because now you have your kids to deal with. And many dogs can be very sensitive. So in order to sort of control, dogs, it's a little bit easier. I mean, cats are tough because you can't put your kids in back of school and have summertime all year. Your kids would love it. and the cats would love it, but that's not going to fly. So, but for dogs, you want to make that time up. It's got to be the extra walk during the day, another 15, 20 minutes of playtime at some point. Try to keep feeding schedule the same. If your kids were feeding the pets during the summer because they were home, then when they come home from school, make sure they continue to feed the pets. Try to map out what was different and try to make it as normal as possible. And again, it's a little late now, but sometimes easing them into the change is also a good idea. So, think about this next year, that if school is starting September 1st or whatever the case may be, maybe the last week or two of August, have your kids sort of back down their attention to the dog. If they were the ones taking them out for the walks, you should start taking them for the walk with the kids. It's sort of like a gradual change. It's like when you have to change diet. You can feed fantastic food A and switch to fantastic food B. But if you switch abruptly, you're going to have problems with diarrhea, mucousy, bloody stool, etc. So think of it, any type you're going to have to introduce a change into an animal, into a pet's routine, whether it's an activity routine, whether it's a dietary routine, or any kind of routine, try to ease them into it slowly. Now, as far as cats, it's tougher. It really is. And again, the last resort for me always is the medications that could sort of help them along a little bit. But again, as much as you can do, if it's simply the kids in scheduling, then it's going to be tougher. If you've changed anything else in their routine, then you want to change back. But try to have the kids become more active when they are home. I know you want them to go home into the room and do their homework right away, but if you can get them to spend a little time with the cats and maybe brush them, comb them, give them a little treat, so the cats will start feeling better again and will look forward to the time the kids come home. And again, there's got to be some normalcy there as well. When the schedules are erratic, then cats' behavior becomes erratic. So they certainly do respond to the attention, the treats, reward. It's hard to, you're not going to take your cat out for a walk, especially indoor cats in the city. So you have to kind of make up that attention in different ways. But there are a lot of ways to do it. If you are having issues, you want to speak to your veterinarian. If you also are having major issues, you might consider speaking to your vet about a board-certified veterinary behaviorist that might be able to give you some more suggestions, or there may even be a board-certified veterinary behaviorist in your area, and then it might be a good idea to visit, to make an appointment to consult with them as well. So anyway, it's that time. If you have any questions, please get a hold of me at drjeff@petliferadio.com. Think about visiting us again next week. If you want to talk about some topic during the week, send it to me. I will put it on my list and we can chat about it. For my Jewish friends and our Jewish listeners out there, starting tonight, Happy New Year, and hope you have a great New Year. And other than that, we will see you here next Sunday, same time, 9 a.m. in the West, noon in the East, and 10 or 11, wherever you happen to be in the middle of the U.S. And that's it for now. So have a great day, great week, and we'll see you next week.